So we are going to get started here with our second speaker of the day. Today we have here with us Jamie Frye. She is a 25-year human resource and talent learning leader at Goodyear Tire. She currently serves as the director of HR, and where she leads strategy, culture, and development for thousands of employees nationwide. You have such a long, amazing career at Goodyear, Jamie. That's amazing. It's so rare, I feel like nowadays, seeing somebody with 25 years in the same place. So kind of tell us where you started out at Goodyear.
It just makes me feel old is really what it is, honestly. But yeah, I've had a really amazing career here at Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company, and it started out as a contractor. It started out 2001. I was a contracted associate, started here in Akron, Ohio, where our world headquarters is. And I was scanning material safety data sheets and making them electronic, making them PDFs. So back in 2001, electronic was PDF. So that's how far we've come from that. And actually, when I became a full-time associate here at Goodyear, I was a secretary. Yeah, MSDS, you know that's right. I spelled it or I said it out for you, so in case anybody wasn't aware of what that meant. But I transitioned into a secretary and became a full-time associate on January 2nd, 2002. So my um, anniversary is coming up here pretty quick. And I stayed a secretary for about 9 years. And during that time, I had some great sponsors, and I got my bachelor's degree at the same time. And so I was a non-traditional student. I was raising a little girl at the time with my husband, and I was supporting some of our executives here at Goodyear. Um, and then probably about, I'm going to say 9, 10 years into my career, I transitioned into HR. And I worked as a talent management lead for our manufacturing organization. So we still manufacture tires here in the US. And proud to say that actually. And so I helped to uh, support the talent management initiatives for the organization. And my career really took a fast turn, and I had a lot of opportunities since that role and was able to work in our ICM is what we call it, Innovation Center Manufacturing here in Akron, where we make the NASCAR and NHRA tires. So I was an HR
Very cool.
specialist supporting that group. Yeah. And then I went to Fayetteville, North Carolina, where I actually worked really closely with Fort Bragg there and our veterans coming out of the Army out of that location and worked in the plant there and got a lot of folks hired as they were transitioning out of active duty and was able to interact with a lot of really great veterans there. And then I came back to Akron and I was in labor relations. And then I went into what we call company owned outlets. And that's the group that I work with now. So that includes our Goodyear Auto Service Centers. So you might be familiar with those, or Just Tires, depending on where you're at in the country. And that's where you get your automotive work done. You get those consumer tires for your car, for your light truck. But I also help support another format, and that's the commercial tire and service centers, because we also make commercial and heavy duty truck tires as well, and we service those vehicles. As well. So that makes up about 7,000 associates across the country that are in both of those organizations. And I left for a time and I went into learning and development, but you know what? I couldn't stay away from what we call COO, and I came back in April to help lead the fantastic HR team that's here supporting this organization. So that's my 20, almost 25-year career in maybe 3 minutes. So hopefully that
Yeah.
wasn't too boring.
No, you did an amazing job of summing that up. That is insane. What kind of led you to HR in the first place?
So honestly, I was thinking to myself when I was transitioning, because the world was my oyster at the time. I could have picked anything, but I think what really was definitive to me was people. I really am relational by nature. I
Mhm.
definitely am outgoing. I like to help people. And so I thought, what part of the company really does that as the core of what they are? And I thought of human resources immediately. Again, I had some really great executive sponsors that helped support me, and I shared with them what my goals were. We talked about it, and we all felt that human resources was, I see we maybe have some human resources people in here, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm getting distracted by the chat. I hope that's okay.
No,
But
it's okay. I always
um,
do too.
yeah, I want to interact with everybody on here. But yeah, I just thought human resources would be where it was at for me. And you know what? Even within the human resources umbrella, there are so many type of specialties, right? You don't just have to be what we would call a specialist or a generalist, right? Where you're dealing with employee relations issues every day. Like I mentioned, I was in talent management. That is under the umbrella of HR. I was also in labor relations. That's under the umbrella of HR. There are so many different fields, even within human resources. So it just makes it a really exciting area of the business.
Yeah, yeah. Is there a spot that you have to start out in human resources before you can start branching out to those other things? Is there like one base place, or can you kind of go anywhere based on your experience?
You can go anywhere, to be honest. I have an opinion. If you're interested in Jamie's opinion, life according
Yeah,
to Jamie,
absolutely.
I think a fantastic place to start is an HR generalist. And what do I mean by that? I mean the person that's really kind of, you got a very wide scope, maybe not very deep, but very wide. So you're helping people with their employee relations issues, you're helping people with their benefits, you're helping people with their payroll. So you're getting just this very wide view of what's available to you in human resources. And a generalist does it all. I've been a generalist, and literally you are everything to everyone. But it is a fantastic experience to get a taste of so many different types of disciplines within the human resources umbrella, where you can say, you know what, I really like comp and ben. I would never say that. Comp and ben is not where I'm at. Compensation and benefits, more power to you if you like that kind of thing. But let's say, you get a taste of that and you want to go into that, or you get a taste of labor relations and you go into that. And that's what happened for me. Like I got a taste of labor relations and I was like, you know what? I want to try that. I want to go into that. I want to negotiate some contracts because we do have some unionized facilities across the US. So I had the opportunity to do that. And then I was like, you know what? That's enough. I want to go do something else. So,
Yeah.
I mean, really, you have so many opportunities in HR, and it makes it really fun and diverse.
Yeah, that's why I think HR specifically is really good for veterans because a lot of us are really used to moving around and picking up a different job after a couple years. So
Yeah,
I love
for
that
sure.
you can kind of bounce around and discover different things all within the same career field.
Absolutely.
Timothy, do you have a question?
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Jamie, for coming to talk to us today.
Of
Um,
course.
so, looking at your titles, you you've got talent, learning it, and leader, and as someone that's gotten paid to play for the majority of my career, I kind of am looking towards a similar title because I enjoyed my time as a training instructor. So I had training facilitation, and maybe I'm, not capturing the correct terms for the civilian workforce of what it
Yeah.
should be. So is that kind of the same title, like training facilitation and learning leader? Is that like the
Mhm.
same thing, just in different words? And what's the common industry terms, I guess?
Yeah. So the common industry terms from a civilian perspective of what you're referencing is probably learning and development. So learning and development is also a very broad part of the business, I guess I would say. So you could have training facilitation as part of learning and development. You could have a person that's maybe doing program management, meaning that they're building learning content for people. There may be a specialist in adult learning theory because learning and development at the same time is a science. And I learned a lot about that when I went over into learning and development because adults learn very differently than children learn. And so you probably did a lot of that in facilitation, trying to keep people's attention and how you structured your training and all of that. So you probably did dive into that to a certain extent. We also have folks that actually build the curriculum and actually maybe build a learning module in a learning management system. So there are so many different tracks, even in the learning development scope, that facilitation is a piece of it. And actually, that was my favorite part of it because I love facilitating training. So and you probably loved it too, I think, because I love interacting with the people side of things. But it is just one track of many different things under the learning and development bucket. There's so many different opportunities there.
All right, thanks. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Half
Hopefully
the
that answered
battle
your
is
question.
getting the right terms down to try to figure out what I want to do when I grow up.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think you're on the right track. I mean, we have training facilitators as well. So that is definitely one of those things that you have experience in and could definitely translate.
Yeah. Going into that a little more, Jamie, for somebody in this class who might not have any HR experience at all, but they might have some skills that go into it, do they have a chance of getting to that HR generalist level?
Well, I think it just depends on where you're coming in at. I think, and it depends on the organization. So there are varying levels of leadership and individual contributor opportunities within HR. So maybe if you are interested in getting involved in HR and maybe you don't have the experience to be what I call a generalist, right? Or maybe even an HR business partner, you might see it called. Maybe you come in as an HR administrator, HR admin. And what that type of person does is a lot of transactional work. Don't get me wrong, it is transactional, but what you learn is the specifics and the transactions of the human resources organization. So that's really going to build a foundation, and that probably is that first level to get you into HR if you don't maybe have an HR education or HR experience. And there are absolutely HR administrator positions that are out there.
Okay, awesome. Jeremy asked a question that brings up the next point really well. He said he was looking and there's an internship for current college students. Do you offer anything for transitioning military members or veterans?
So, not from an internship perspective, but we absolutely are committed to hiring veterans. And we have lots of opportunities. And I have a couple links I want to give you to our job sites. And you'll see on one in particular where it says how much we are committed to hiring veterans, but we don't necessarily have anything transitional. We have
Mm,
jobs right away, right?
yeah.
So you'd be able to see what type of skill sets you have and what would maybe fit what you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome that you guys are super committed to hiring veterans. We love to see that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What is the toughest part for you being a director of HR for leading such a big workforce? I mean, it's a huge company, so I'm sure you have a lot under your belt.
Yeah, so we kind of put it in the term people are peopling, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So it really comes down to the people part at the end of the day. So it's interacting with those all the way down. Um, I don't always have a good year, that's for sure. No, maybe it's a day, but we always have a good year. But I would say in a high volume environment is what we call this environment where we have like 7,000 people. Our manufacturing environment has a lot of people. You know,
Mhm.
you're working with a lot of different scenarios. You're working on things that that might be trivial, but are important to a particular individual, all the way up to very, very serious situations that could compromise someone's safety. And honestly, we dealt with in July a fatality, which was extremely difficult. So it can really run the gamut. And sometimes it really tests your fortitude as a person, as a professional. But at the same time, it can be extremely rewarding. So that So that area that can be the most difficult can also be the most rewarding. And the comment around the Goodyear, I would say I would definitely sum it up as an HR role is one where you absolutely have a good year because you can impact people's lives so significantly by the support that you provide to them. And
Yeah.
that's what we keep in mind on my team, right? That's what keeps us going. Our relationships with each other, but also developing those relationships with people in the field, is just so critical and really makes everything that we do worthwhile. Because at the end of the day, we keep the human in human resources. That's what it's all about. And people are just so important for us. And they're the ones that are making it work, right? They're the
Yeah.
ones that are driving those results. And that's what we remember every day because at Goodyear, we make and we sell tires. That's what we do here. Those people are critical. They're important to our business.
Yeah, 100%. They can't do it without you and you can't do it without them. I also like that
Absolutely.
HR a lot of the time is the first impression for a lot of people in a company. So that's
Mhm.
huge. If someone's coming to interview, you guys are typically the maybe not you personally, but somebody on your team is the first person they meet, which is a really,
Mhm.
really important interaction.
Yeah. So true, right? I mean, we people will come to us for so many different things, and that experience that they have reflects on how they feel about the company. That is
Yeah, yeah,
definitely true. It's a big
absolutely.
responsibility.
Yeah, it really is. That's a lot on your shoulders, especially you're leading the entire team, so I can't imagine. On your LinkedIn, you talk about connection, capability, and culture. Can you talk
Mhm.
more about that and kind of why you mentioned that?
Well, I talked about how relationships to me is very important. And when we talk about like a personality profile, I'm definitely driven by those interconnected relationships.
Yeah.
And so that connection to me is everything because you spend a lot of time at work. You
Mhm.
spend at least half your time, probably, maybe a third of your time at the very least at work. So having those connections with the people that you support and the people that you work with and having positive connections is critical. And it helps make the job more enjoyable, but it also helps you want to give more to what you're doing. It helps you become more productive if you feel like you're in a supportive environment. Capability is so critical because I want people to feel like they are confident and know what they should do in their jobs. The more confident
Mhm.
we feel, the more competent we feel, the better we can give of our time and our talents. So
Yeah.
that's a huge part of my position and my philosophy. And then culture. Culture is everything. We all want to be a part of a positive culture and we all contribute to a positive culture. It's kind of the cyclical, symbiotic relationship, right? Culture is not Akron, Ohio, Goodyear corporate up here. Culture runs all the way down to the very lowest levels of the organization. So it's
Mhm.
important that we talk about it, that we're committed to it. I even did a recently we had an activity on my team where we articulated how do we want to communicate with each other? What are those norms and practices that we want to have with each other? What behaviors are welcomed? What behaviors do we not want to have? All of those things, articulating those things create a culture. And that's what's important when you want to work in a positive workplace and a positive culture to all be aligned on what that is.
Yeah.
So that kind of sums up where I'm coming from when I say those three C's, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I really like that because culture's so, so important. I mean, to everybody, but I feel like especially to veterans because a lot of these people have done 20, 30 years
Yeah.
of probably a culture that wasn't that great. So, to be
Yeah,
honest,
command and control kind of culture is what those are
yeah.
those C's that you guys have maybe in the military. Because I think you may know my son is actually in the Air Force, and I saw that you're retired Air Force. So he just joined in January. He's 19 years old, so he's sharing with me some of that experience that he's having. He actually just graduated tech school in June and got
Oh,
he got stationed in Dayton, Ohio, which is only 3 hours from me, which is great. He's my youngest. So, learning more about the military culture firsthand has been really enlightening. And his job, he's security forces.
Oh, okay, that's what I did as well. That's
Did you?
awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
He likes it. He likes it a lot. He's doing really well, and I'm really proud of him. And that's why it was important for me to be with you all today because it's just really near and dear to my heart as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad he's enjoying it. Keeping that positive mindset is crucial. It will take you down if not.
Yeah, we have
Um,
a saying, keep moving forward. And I put that in every letter when he was in boot camp. And he
oh,
actually tattooed that in my handwriting on his leg. So that was his
oh,
first tattoo. Isn't that sweet?
that's super sweet. I love that. I really like
But
that
it's
saying.
important. It's
Yeah,
important for
no,
all of us, right? Keep moving forward. That's the most important thing we can do every day.
yeah, 100%. Talking about HR, I know there's a lot of maybe negative stigmas around HR with some that some people have. Could you tell us about maybe one or two misconceptions that people have and why they're wrong?
Well, people may think that we're security forces here in an organization, right? Because that's essentially law enforcement. We're the police.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily true. We're here to ensure everybody has a safe and compliant experience in the organization, right? We don't want to stop your fun, right? We want people to have fun in the workplace, but we need to do it in a respectful and compliant way. And so that's one of the misconceptions. And maybe another misconception is that we don't have fun ourselves, right? That we are kind of sticks in the mud. Well,
Mm.
that's not the case, guys. We like to have lots of fun, and we love to joke, and we love to develop really strong relationships. And so human resources, they're actually really great people. At least
Yeah.
the ones I know. Maybe in every business, in every company, you're going to have people that maybe don't align with that. But here, at least in my workplace, I know that they're all really dedicated and smart individuals. So that's
Yeah.
at least from my perspective.
I feel like to be good in HR and to enjoy HR, you have to be a people person. You deal with them every single day, so I can't imagine
It
not being a
helps.
people person. Yeah.
You know, I know some HR people that I would not describe as people, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
sometimes I scratch my head like, why did you want to go into this line of work? But it definitely is important. I think it's an important quality to have because you
Yeah,
definitely want to be able to engage with people authentically.
absolutely. Talking about the qualities that people in HR have you seen a lot of veterans and what good qualities they bring to people that you've interviewed? Maybe not just for HR, but just within the company?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And especially true when I worked in Fayetteville because I had an opportunity
Mhm.
to interview and hire a lot of veterans from Fort Bragg. And honestly, the discipline that you bring to the table is unmatched. The leadership. I'm always amazed when I interact with those that have been in the military. You are put into leadership roles so early in your
Mhm.
careers. So let's say, taking for example, my son right out of high school went into the military. He's 19, probably in 3 years or so, he might be put into a leadership role. That's 22 years old. And so
Mhm.
when I think about that, those leadership qualities that you develop like almost right out of the gate are so critical when you transition to civilian work because you know how to organize a team and you know how to execute. And sometimes that is the most difficult part of any initiative we have is the execution part. So
Mhm.
you guys are bringing that to the table right away, and that is a huge plus for us when we're looking at leaders, and I can say a leader officially, right, as a manager, or a leader unofficially, because in
Mhm.
so many ways, different roles, you have to influence without authority. And what I mean is, you're an individual contributor, you're not a manager, but you still need to influence people. And that's a part of that job description. So you guys bring those qualities right off the bat, and it's just so, so important and valued.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree. Are there any maybe what's the word? Things that you see on veterans' applications or on their resumes that maybe you see some common mistakes or things that they could do better to stick out more?
Well, I think it's really important to list the capabilities that you feel might translate into the civilian workforce. So let's say you are, leading a group of people. So when we're thinking about those capabilities that might translate, you might say agility, right? You might say resilience. So if you can pull out some of those capabilities that really resonate with, maybe a manager in a corporation, that's going to be critical. And also demonstrating results. If you're able to very succinctly demonstrate results within your resume, that speaks volumes of how you execute, right? And that's really important too to hiring managers to understand these are the things that you did, these are the experiences that you had, and these are the results, right? So some of those right off the top, I think are really important.
Okay. In the actual interview, what do you think is the most important aspect?
So in an interview, I think it's very important to understand the company that you're interviewing with. You need to
Mm,
come in with some research. You need to come in armed with some very, I would say, meaningful questions, right? Normally, when we're going in for an interview, we're prepared to answer questions, and you should be, right? You should prepare yourself. There's so many resources online that would help you prepare. But it's so critical to me when I'm a hiring manager and I'm interviewing a candidate that when I say, do you have any questions for me? That candidate demonstrates that they've researched the company, they understand where we're at financially, they understand what's important in terms of the values and culture of that organization, and they asked very poignant questions around that. Another question could be, what would success look like for you in this role in 90 days, in a year, right? So asking those questions of your interviewer is also very critical to make a really positive impression.
okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I meant to ask this at the beginning, but it just popped back in my head. Back when you started over 20 years ago, did you think you would still be here at Goodyear 20 years later? I don't know why that just
No
came back
way.
in my head and I went, I'm
No
just
way.
curious.
No, I mean, I could not even have imagined where the path has taken me, and I feel so fortunate. And I'll be honest, like, how do I want to put this in a positive way? So, there have been challenging experiences that have caused me to evaluate my career. And so I have looked and I have maybe interviewed at other places and even was offered other positions outside of Goodyear. But when I made the decision to stay, it was for very specific reasons and other opportunities. So I will say I've always kept my feelers out there, because I want to make sure that I'm growing as a professional, but I just feel fortunate that I've had the opportunity to do that here. So it's kind of been a win-win.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about those challenges, what kind of got you through them? Because we're all starting, most of us are starting a brand new career that we've never done before.
Yeah.
So, what got you through those challenges?
So I think a phrase that comes to mind that I have talked to my team about, specifically this year, we've gone through a lot of change at Goodyear,
Hmm.
is focus on what you can control. Control the controllable, I guess is another way you could put it. So many times we worry about all of those things that we can't control, and it gets us very stressed out. But we need to kind of change or flip the script, I guess some people say, and really take stock of those things that are within our control, focus on those things, remain positive, but also every day set your intention. And what do I
Mm,
mean by that? I mean, get out a piece of paper and write down, what type of person do I want to be today? When I go to this interview, what am I going to show them about myself that is going to be something that is going to really impress them, right? How do I want to, present myself to them? I want to present myself as confident, right?
Hmm.
I want to present myself as capable. Those things we need to set officially, every morning. And I set my intent every morning, right? Who do I need to connect with really well today is a question I ask myself every day. There is a book that I'll mention if that's okay. It's
Yeah.
called High Performance Habits, and it's by an author. His name is Brendan Burchard, and he also has a podcast. And that's where I learned the importance of setting intention. He talks about it as part of the theme of the entire book. And it's all set to position you to be a high performer. And there are habits that we should start developing every day. It's not about perfection, it's about improvement every day. It's about setting that intention every day to be the best version of yourself that you can be. So I
Yeah.
suggest if you like to read, if you like to listen to audiobooks, check out that book. He's really a fantastic speaker and has really, really compelling food for thought that I think would
Yeah.
be really beneficial for you.
I love the idea of setting intentions. I actually do that every day as well because it's way easier to win if you set your intention. If you tell yourself what you're gonna do or who you're gonna be or what you want to put out, it's way easier to
Yeah.
achieve that than just trying to achieve something that you don't have a written down goal. So
You're so right. Because when we talk
yeah,
about controlling what we can only control ourselves and how we react to things. So, I mean, you're spot on that. It brings that back to you. You own something. I
hmm,
own my intent. And that is so powerful.
yeah, I absolutely agree. For going to the Goodyear, how big it is, a lot of the people in here are trying to get into those big corporations, whether it's in
Yeah.
whatever genre it is of
Yeah.
job. They're trying to get into these huge jobs. How do they stick out when applying for these big corporations?
Take a look at the job description. Okay. When you're on on our career sites, which I'm going to put our career sites into the chat when we're done here. So we have career sites for our manufacturing and company owned outlets, and I'll tell you what that one is. And then we have a career site for our corporate positions, which could be sales, finance, IT. They could be field positions, they could be here in Akron. Take a look at the job description. And then I want you to take a look at your resume. And I want you to take a look at your experience. And I want you to tailor your resume to what we're looking for in that job description for those experiences that align with it. That's
Hmm.
how you stand out, right? Because, so many times, and I was guilty of it a long time ago, you just put out one resume for every single job. But this is an absolutely hugely competitive environment right now. And so
Yeah.
you've got to take the time to tailor your resume and really highlight those experiences that align with the job that you're interested in. This is not about making things up. That's not what I mean. It's about bringing those things to the top of the list that you have as an experience that aligns with that job that you're seeking.
Okay.
Okay.
Is including those keywords important? Like the actual keywords
Yes.
from the resume? Okay.
Yes, because so many times we're using automated
Hmm.
applicant tracking systems, and those tracking systems are picking out those keywords. And so that's what I mean. If you're aligning your experiences, putting in those keywords that align with that job, you're going to have that much better of a chance of being selected for an interview.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Um, Going back to the interviews, because I think the interviews is something I struggle with a lot, so I always ask about it. Could we talk a little more? Could you give us like three quick tips on maybe how to make it better? You said one earlier, but like if you have any more.
So I think so many times we freak ourselves out. So maybe what you want to do is breathe. I think
Yeah.
you need to breathe. I think you need to have confidence in yourself. So there's like a little trick. And Timothy, you may have done this in your facilitation before, but this is what we teach people when they have to give presentations. We want you to stand in a Superman pose or a Wonder Woman pose. And we want you don't do it in front of the interviewer. You do this in the restroom or something, okay? But it's scientifically proven when we do this, it builds our confidence. We're breathing, we're telling ourselves that we are capable, that we are confident. And I'm actually doing it right now. I should have done it before I came on this show right now or on this podcast or whatever. And I would have felt more confident myself. But doing that is scientifically proven to make you feel more confident in yourself. And you may feel silly. That's okay. It's okay to be silly, but I'm telling you, the science is there, and breathing techniques are very important as well. So you go in there feeling confident and be prepared, right? Like I said, look into the company, be prepared to ask some really poignant questions, and and just be yourself.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like that's what it always comes back with anybody I ask. It always comes back to just be yourself. Be yourself and be
Yeah,
prepared are the biggest things that we hear.
yeah. And I would say dress for the part, right? I mean, you're making a first impression. So just be really intentional about your attire and the way that, that you are made up, right? It's not always about wearing a three-piece suit because in some jobs that's not going to be applicable, but it's just putting intention into putting your best foot forward. That's
Mm,
what's the most important at the end of the day.
okay. If anybody else has anybody questions, raise your hand. But coming up to the end, what are some skills that are most in demand in Goodyear or maybe in the automotive service industry right now?
Technical skills.
Mm,
So we are absolutely in the market for automotive technicians. If any of you maybe were a mechanic, that would be hugely, hugely valuable right now. But we're also looking for sales folks, right? Like I said, we make and we sell tires. So, but we also fix cars. So those things are also important for us. HR opportunities come up not as frequently, to be honest, in Goodyear anyway. However, they could be opportunities in our manufacturing facilities. So our manufacturing facilities are all across the U.S. and there you could find some HR opportunities there in those facilities. They don't come up as often in Akron. But there are also a lot of opportunities in our manufacturing plants to be one of our builders or, one of those ones that cure tires. So being on the shop floor is definitely in demand too. And wow, what a great career that could be.
yeah.
So I see some project management, we always have openings in different areas, right? IT, project management, procurement, supply chain. They're sporadic out there depending on the need. And so I would definitely just encourage you to look out at our job sites and see based on your experience what things are interesting to you and go
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Geraldine, do you have a question?
Not a question, but I think that you were sent here just for me because I'm trying to go into HR and
Yeah.
trying to find that OJT to do that HR has been difficult. So you
Okay.
come in here, you're the first one I would say for HR. We've seen talent acquisition folks come and talk to us, but you specifically for HR and your excitement for HR, I'm like, that's why I
Mm,
was like, yes, this is awesome. Trying to finish my bachelor's in HR management. So
Good for
thank you
you.
so much for coming and sharing what you do. I already sent
Absolutely.
your connection.
Good.
yeah.
Perfect. I'm glad. And I was going to say, let's connect. I would love to talk to you more about your goals and everything. I'd be happy to do that. So that's great. It kind of gives me chills. Like, I love the opportunity to be with you today. And um, I just really am excited for you all genuinely in this new journey that you're going on. I know there's maybe some uncertainties that you might feel, but I'm telling you right now, just your participation on this shows me that you are in it to win it, right? You are taking this very seriously and you're leveraging the resources that are available to you, leverage them to the fullest, go out there, and just put your best foot forward. And I wish you all the best.
Yeah, I love that Jalen brought that up because I was thinking the same thing. One of my questions was how do you stay passionate about it after 20 plus years? And you can tell you still have that passion and love to help. So how do you stay passionate about it? Like what keeps the love in it for you?
It's intense. It is. And sometimes it's just, you got to say, why am I doing this? Like you've got to make sure that you keep the why at the very heart of what you're doing, right? Because you're going to have some days that are really difficult. I mean, we all do, right? I'm an excitable person by nature. I I just get excited about a lot of different things. So that's probably what you're seeing come through. Even when I try to like tamper it, it just comes out. But I truly believe in the importance of helping people be their best selves. And that to me is my why. And that's something I have to ground myself in, even on those tough days where I feel like people are people in and wanting to cause us lots of headaches. You have to remember, you know what? I'm here to help them, right? And they have a legitimate issue in their mind, and we're going to get them through this, right? So that's what you just always have to come back to, because this world can dim your sparkle, okay? So you got to
Yes.
come back to why am I sparkling in the first place? So
Yeah.
remember that.
I feel like that comes back to setting your intentions too. If you have your intentions set, you have a written down reason why you're positive or happy today. So
Put it on a post-it and put it on your computer so you can look at it multiple times, or put it on your phone. Have a
Mhm.
reminder. If you read that book that I told you about, he talks about putting reminders in your phone, of what your intention is, and put an alarm. So when you look at your phone, that alarm, you see it. What's my intention? You
Mhm.
got to do that, right? I mean, every day, whatever it takes, you got to remind yourself of what you're here to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna be asking everybody here in a week to see if anybody set any intentions. So hopefully somebody takes Jamie's
Okay,
advice
let
and
me
does it.
know.
Yeah, I
Let me
will.
know. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah,
I
that'd be
encourage you to do
awesome.
it. Awesome.
My final question, I would just like to know, a lot of the people here are struggling with those, as you know, the market is hard. They're struggling with those
Mhm.
not replies or
Mhm.
continuous, just not getting the job. What advice do you
Yeah.
have for them to just keep at it?
Keep at it.
Mm.
I mean, that's really it. I think we've all experienced that at one time or another. I think as we can see, if you're going on LinkedIn and you're looking at jobs, they're telling you how many people applied, and it's thousands and thousands of people. And, sometimes that can get really, really frustrating. But you know what? Go to many avenues, right? There are many job boards out there. There are many opportunities. I think this forum is huge to learn
Mhm.
more about maybe other companies that weren't on your radar. There are a host of jobs. I will plug Goodyear. There are a host of jobs out there that Goodyear has out in our field and in our company-owned outlets in our manufacturing organization that may be of interest to you. And sometimes it's a matter of getting your foot in the door.
Mm.
Guys,
Mhm.
I started out as a contractor scanning MSDS sheets. Okay. So sometimes you have to take the job that maybe is not your dream job to get you where you're going. Okay. So don't forget that, it may be a journey, and that's okay. It's not the end. Just keep that in mind. Just keep that MSDS lady in your mind as you're looking for that next job move. Okay. Just
Yeah,
keep at
yeah.
it.
Well, thank you so much, Jamie. I don't know if you've
You're
seen all the
welcome.
positive comments in the chat, but everyone's
Yeah, I'm gonna
loving
look
you.
through it. I've been trying to keep focused.
Yeah.
So I will look through this before I get off the call. And I just appreciate your engagement and putting all that in the chat. And you guys have my LinkedIn, reach out to me. I'd be happy to chat with all of you. I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you all. Okay.
Yeah,
It was just a
absolutely.
pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure having you. I can't wait to talk more. Have a wonderful rest of
Great.
your day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.